Hey, what is up YouTube? Just wanted to do a quick video covering 7 FAQs, tips and tricks, if you will. And towards the end of this video, also give a shout out to 2 fellow content creators and also a Xesht 4 kill towards the end as a showcase of the new build. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first tip for me is going to be getting strength or all attributes on gear. Essentially, what you may not notice is that you may be overly focused on getting dex and in to be able to scale the damage of your Hands of Wisdom in action. But essentially, if you have 6 strength nodes on your tree, that is equivalent to 30 strength. And if you were to be able to get 30 strength on one of your rings or amulet or all attributes, essentially that will give you the same amount of intelligence as you would. So getting strength is also good for your build if you still have strength on your tree, because you will be limited by your crossbow, very likely having a high strength requirement of 116, so you'll still need to work towards that. So that's point number 1. Number 2 is scaling the build further. So something I didn't cover in my previous video is getting a jewel, something like this, and the most important being the int as the implicit for us to be able to get an additional affix, if you will, on a jewel to be able to scale your int a little further. And you can see that I have slightly higher int as compared to my previous video. And to be able to search on this on the trade site is going to be similar to the trade link that I had in my previous video. And something that you want to add in is that it's a little bit of a weird one because it's technically an implicit, but for your search query, it's going to be under enchant. Okay, so there's going to be the baseline int, the implicit int, and the enchant. So you want to search for the enchanted int, and this will allow you to search for jewels with that implicit. Of course, if you want, the perfect jewels, search for 4 affixes, but currently none of that exists. So maybe you want to be a little bit lighter depending on your budget for searching for this int. I won't be providing you this link, so you can create your own one and pretty much try to figure it out what you want to search for alongside the int implicit. The third is going to be the Prism of Belief. So as you know, the Prism of Belief provides you +1 to +3 levels to a specific skill gem in the game. This does not include ascendancy skills, so just keep that in mind. And right now it's extremely hard to be able to search for the gem you want because doing a filter for a specific gem, let's say Dark Effigy, does not exist, and things like that. So essentially the only filter that we have is going to be plus level of all skills. So something I saw in Rue's stream the other day was someone posting this sheet, which I thought would be extremely helpful. And essentially right now there's going to be 3 gems tied to each ID. So if, for example, you want to search for gas grenade, it's going to be of these ID numbers. So let's say if you wanted to look for a +3 grenade for Prism of Belief, you can search for 53.5. So I'm going to put in 53.5 as the min and the max, search for the skill gems, and essentially what will be returned is going to be Templar's Fury +1, Pain Offering +2, or Gas Grenade +3. So if I scroll down and I want to look for, okay, so how much is going to be a Gas Grenade +3 because I really want to play that? Okay, currently it's at 50 divines. So essentially previously what was unsearchable is now going to be searchable. And of course, let's say if I'm interested in Spark +3, so how much is that? 78.5. So I'm just going to go in here and put in 78.5 and 78.5 over here. And essentially this will allow me to search for a specific gem. And you can see here we have a +3 spark for 550 divines. So that's how you can search using Prism of Belief, how you can search for Prism of Belief jewels on trade now. So next question I get quite a bit is how to be able to get 100% shock. So I'll put the breakdown in the description below, but essentially it's going to be 75% from frazzled. So it's going to be 15, 15, 15 plus 30. So that's going to be 75% increased magnitude of shock. Currently I'm putting it on my Stormcaller arrow, but overcharge allows you to get another 75% increased magnitude, giving you 150. And then across my jewels, you want to aim for 35%. So I think I have 2 jewels with magnitude. Here I have 19, and I have another one further down with 18. But essentially, roughly around 35% from jewels. And then lastly is going to be from your voltaic mark, and that's going to be giving you a baseline 30 plus 15 with the quality, giving you 45% increased effect of marks, and then the rest of the increased effect of marks on the tree, 15, 10, 10 plus another 10 over here, or 1020 over here, giving you a 55% increase of mark effect from the tree, allowing me to get 100% increase effect of shock, which is roughly around the point where you'll be able to get 100% shock, which is, I think, the maximum amount of shock you can get. So that is how I was able to get 100% shock. So next is going to be solving mana. So I think some people have noticed that, you know, your mana pool will be very low if you don't have mana on gear, because if you're using Heroic Tragedy, essentially you're converting all your bonus mana from the int that you're stacking very heavily into percent evasion, which means that you'll still need to have some mana for your skills. If you have class level to skill gems, it may get a little bit more costly. I have +3 from my Crossbow, so you may notice that your mana is getting a little low, but personally I've not had much issues. It's just a timely press of your mana flask. Currently, I also use Clarity for a bit of comfort with the gems. I don't know why I have that out. And yeah, essentially pressing, having 1 to 2 additional pieces of gear with maximum mana will give a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of comfort when it comes to pressing that mana flask. So that's just something to keep in mind. Number 6 is going to be fitting an additional aura, and something I was exploring is trying to get more rarity, and in that process I realized that Ventures gives spirit. So in this example, I've dropped, as you can see, I dropped my Plasma Blast and fit it all into Stormcaller Arrow because of this reason. So currently I have a Ventures Gamble. You can see it gives like 10 spirit, but based on the level of the roll of your Ingenuity, currently with 10 additional spirit, I can just drop Clarity from my links, and I'm able to add in a new 30 spirit aura. So I can put in something like Herald of Thunder, or you can put in Overwhelming Presence to, you know, shock a little bit more effectively. But for clear, I think Herald of Thunder would be a great choice to be able to add damage for your mapping if you add in, you know, Herald of Thunder, Innervate, and the other gems that you want to add to it. So that is something that you could also opt for. If you want a more rarity setup, you can also lean into adding another spirit gem. Number 7 is going to be a bug that I realized with Sorcery Ward, and that is going to be the second bug. So the first bug that we mentioned in one of the previous videos is that we cannot quality Sorcery Ward. So I have no reason why GGG added in the additional effects of quality here. I'm not sure if it's a bug or if it's going to be added in the future, but essentially we're not able to quality, and that's the first one. And the second part of Sorcery Ward that's a bug is that if you have gems socketed, and if you unspec Sorcery Ward over here, what you would notice is that the Sorcery Ward's skill disappears, of course. And if we do add it back, you can see that the gems got completely eaten up and that is completely removed. So you need to remember to, you know, get your uncut support gems again, or take them out beforehand if you want to. So next is going to be a shout out to 2 content creators, so really appreciate it. So I tend to shy away from more budget, approachable builds outside of League Start, but today I saw a comment in one of my videos saying that I got a shout out from Rage Gaming, and I am extremely grateful for. So definitely check out their video. They have done a great job at creating a more approachable guide to getting set up. So if you want a more budget setup for Lightning Crossbow, do check out their video. I'll drop a link in the description below. And speaking of content creators, there has been someone making his rounds on Reddit in the comments section, Reddit and my comment section. So let me set the scene for you. So it was yesterday, it was Christmas in Singapore, and I was going through some of my comments on YouTube and replying to a bunch of them as I would. And occasionally I get some positive comments and sometimes not so positive comments. So I was responding to all of them as I would. I'm fairly active responding to everyone as I try to address, you know, all of the concerns and questions that anyone might have. And what I noticed was just so this was Rage Gaming video. So something I noticed in my YouTube comment section was a guy called Raging Nap. So I remember replying to this guy. I didn't know exactly who he was back then, but essentially I gave a cursory response. Okay, he said my Hoa damage was pretty bad, like very bad. So I gave a cursory response saying that there's a lot of other broken builds, because I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to, right, in the game. So he might be comparing to those stuff, and just a very cursory response. And he proceeded to respond. I woke up today and saw this response. I'm comparing to my own Hoa Crossbow DPS, and I was like, okay. Then I went, of course, for obvious reasons, I clicked on him and checked out his YouTube video, and I realized that this is the guy who was posting on Reddit, because I remember checking out his video, and I watched his video, like, you know, one day, you know, lying on my bed before sleeping, you know, scrolling through Reddit. Oh, I see this #1 DPS, Hoa DPS. Okay, and then I watched his video. I was like, oh, that's a lot of damage. So I remember this exact YouTube video that I watched. So I actually saw, you can see that I actually took quite a look at all the different stuff that he has pulled together, and yeah. So yeah, that is what I remembered. And I remember a week or two ago on stream, someone asked me about Dorianis and how I felt about it. And personally, you know, having played PoE 1, you know, completely aware of what Doriani does. And it is a chess piece that is very glass cannon in my view, and exceptionally hard to build around in terms of defenses, because your lightning damage will scale of armor, and as we know, armor is exceptionally weak in Path, even more so in Path of Exile 2. And if to me, it was a very glass cannon chess. It's like, don't get hit, but if you do, you're gonna die. So he did preface in his previous Reddit post, I think, or this one, that he is occasionally dying as well. I think he has a level 92 character, and clearly this is a design choice that you choose. And clearly based on his YouTube description, you can see that, you know, mapping is trash. You know, he just doing purely bossing content. So I personally am not going to recommend a build that does, you know, massive amount of damage, but occasionally falling over in maps. And I'm not going to tell my viewers to follow a build guide for the sole purpose of dealing pinnacle bossing damage. And personally, I never try to sugarcoat my builds. I never once mentioned this is the best crossbow build, nor did I mention this is the best DPS crossbow build. You know, I try to keep it level-headed. I don't sugarcoat, and as much as possible, provide, you know, well-rounded builds for my community, and to be able to focus and map well, and also at the same time be able to tackle the endgame pinnacle content, you know, to get your passes, right? But in no way is this designed for single target pinnacle bossing, nor did I claim it to be. So I do mention this on stream. I really like to, you know, teach and impart that knowledge and try to teach you how to fish rather than giving you the fish. So as always, I always include sections on like tips and tricks, just like this video, and try my best to explain my thought process at all times. So all in all, when you build your character to maximize your DPS using this one chess, have to relevel a character, not take the resistance modifiers from the campaign, and go out of your way to make out-of-pocket, unsolicited negative comments on a fellow content creator's channel. Personally, this is in bad faith. It kind of reminds me of a kid at school who got 10 in his math quiz and gloats around his other classmates who didn't really study for the test, and, you know, just essentially competing with himself. So objectively, I think you have great content that you posted on the Reddit, which I read through, and I personally think that you may have even gotten some ideas over here, given that you have been previously not using the Against the Darkness jewel. Maybe you got this idea from somewhere else, but maybe you even got this idea from my YouTube video. And, you know, viewers who want, but you made the decision to kind of shit on my pinnacle boss damage, even though I was not creating my build for that. So yeah, personally, I think yeah, for the viewers who want a very good bossing setup, I think this is a very good option, going for the Doriani prototype chess, which currently Raging Nap is using. But I do disagree with your pathing for your passive tree, which I've taken a look at, and in the weirdest shout out possible, I'll link his Reddit post below. So do check it out if you intend to boss. And I think he has a great setup to be able to do the #1 DPS crossbow build and doing 5 million damage. So I haven't really seen his exact gear. I don't think he has posted it, but, you know, we are not even comparing budget to budget aside. He may have insane gear comparatively to what I have, but that's besides the point. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Rage Gaming, massive W. And if you like what you saw, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll drop a clip of the Xesht 4 after this. Please don't shitpost about my damage, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye. Do diamonds only drop from like highest tier bosses? I feel like they do, right? I've seen some clips of other people getting diamonds from the level 4 like Arbiter and like level 4 other bosses.
so many rares, huh? Spawning in this zone, a bit more than usual. Okay, let's switch it up. This is Xesht 4. Oh, another diamond. Let's go.